Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday live stream Instagram artist chat. Today, we're going to be talking with someone who has known the Living Room project for a long time. Was one of our very first volunteers when the studio first opened at 149 Simcoe Street South here in Oshawa. And you know what? I haven't talked to them in a long time, so it's going to be really nice to check in and catch up and see where they're at these days. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Oh, wow. We got Brandon, Alinda, and oh my goodness. So great to see you folks. Welcome to the live stream. And so some of you who are watching might be familiar with this person, a young artist, creator, adventurer, someone who inspires me every single time I have a chance to connect with them. Carley. So raise a hand if you know Chrrie, if you've met them before. They're around the studio creating. They've helped us with our fundraisers. They go above and beyond in making space for us in their lives and helping us do what we do. And I never fail to leave an encounter with them feeling inspired and rejuvenated. And perhaps, I mean, times are tough, right? So every once in a while you need that person who will get you excited about creating again, who will remind you that it's okay to laugh at yourself. And Chrrie is one of those excellent human beings. So, and another thing too, a little housekeeping starting off today's live stream. If you are watching and you notice something go a bit wonky with the stream, can you let us know? Things tend to be squishing and pulling and stretching and doing all sorts of strange things. So if you see something weird or random go on like that, just send us a little message and let us know. Is that okay? Yeah? Excellent. So without further ado, let's see if I can invite Chrrie to join. Okay, this is the time where I should be doing some elevator music for you folks. Ah!
Hi! Hi!
Chrrie, holy moly, you look amazing.
Thank you. I tried. I got my little teacup earring. Ooh.
Oh, and I did forget to add tea lover to your
tea lover, indeed. Yeah, I haven't had much reason to do fancy things because I'm just at home or at work. So I thought might as well goof around a little bit and see what happens.
I love it. I'm so happy that you did, because one of the things I look forward to chatting with you about today is that whole thing as self as canvas.
Yeah. And I've been painting myself a lot more. I put red in my eyebrows. You could say that it's quarantine making me nuts, or it could just be an artistic outlet. Who knows? Maybe a little bit of both.
Well, may not be as familiar with you. I like to think I am anyway. How would you describe yourself? Why don't you describe the folks?
Oh my goodness. I haven't been asked to describe myself in a very long time. Is a goon an appropriate term to use? Maybe a little bit of that. A little bit crazy. Adventurous.
Definitely.
All that fun stuff.
Yeah. Describe you as an adventurer, absolutely. And we'll a little bit more later. And you're also an artist through and through.
Yeah. Right? I try my best to be.
What kind of creative things are you working on? Or where's your passion taking you these days with that?
I've really been liking oil pastels. As soon as quarantine hit, I tried to start using my sketchbook more often, and I've had the same one since like 2017, and it literally had like 2 pages in it. I was not doing much. I was doing it all on my iPad. So I started just scribbling for the sake of scribbling instead of just trying to make stuff. I ended up filling out a whole sketchbook in like less than 2 months, which was really good. I know, but it was all mostly oil pastel because I don't know, I like it. It blends so easily and it's more hands-on than trying to use my iPad for digital art, which I found is very hard. So yeah, I've been painting a lot more. I didn't paint very much before quarantine, and I just one day decided it was going to happen, and now my room's covered in paintings. So yeah.
That's amazing. And so as I've known you, you've been creative. You never say no to a creative challenge. If there's something you haven't tried before, you'll take it on, you'll give it a go. at the studio, you were one of our first volunteers that we had there.
Really? I
I
didn't know
think
I was one of the first.
I think you might have been. Were you? Did you come on as a co-op volunteer for a high school co-op volunteer?
No,
No.
I just showed up and said, let me work.
And we said, "Be careful what you wish for." And then,
I wish I could have done it in high school. It would have been so nice if that was an option, but I don't think you guys had really started doing that yet when I started. And then I went on and did a co-op at the RMG. So I didn't get a chance. But it would have been amazing if I could just hang out at the living room all day instead of be at school. That would have been awesome.
yeah, you say that now, but talk to some of our co-op volunteers and see. Yeah, there's only
I
so much
stand by it.
untangling of embroidery that you might be able to do, and
Yeah.
it's more than
Start
that. And that's
losing your mind.
we're missing right now because we don't have the studio open. That's one of the things I'm really craving, that engagement with students and volunteers, and
Sitting there for 3 hours untangling yarn.
but the conversation you'd have over that.
Yeah. I miss it. But at least we have like some sense of community doing these kinds of things, and like the art challenges and all of that. Like keeping up to date on the internet isn't the exact same, but at least you can still be in touch with people.
So on that note then, let's check in. How have you been doing since COVID happened to the world, since everything changed 5 months ago?
It's been 5 months.
I think so, yeah.
I have no sense of time. It could have been 3 weeks, 2 years. I don't know. That's one thing. I've definitely lost track of any sense of reality. But I started off and I was excited to like have a little bit of a break and like to do my own thing. So I kind of just fed into that and pretended that it was my job to have free time and to use it how I wanted to. So yeah, I started doing my sketchbook and painting, and I tried to just do a little bit of art every day and work on that because I was trying to build skills for tattooing as well. And yeah, so I just dove into it, and then I hit a little bit of about a month in because I was just trying to go so hard and I wasn't used to it. So I took a little break, stepped back, and came back. And yeah, now I've been doing art pretty much every day, which is great. So, I mean, that's one good thing that's come out of the pandemic. My creative exercises. Yeah. I don't remember what the question was.
That's just how it happened, like when it happened, how it affected you. It sounds like you've been making art daily.
Yeah.
And you know
I
that-
mean,
Can you continue?
oh, it's just I kind of forgot that it was a good sense of self-expression and I could actually just like sit down and communicate that way. I guess I got caught up in like just trying to make things look good instead of make them into something that I just wanted to make. So yeah, I mean, I don't really think they all communicate pandemic, especially my mermaids and spoons and all those things, but they do in my head. So
Like to show us some of the stuff you've been working on?
oh, this is the mermaid.
Oh, wow.
There's
Okay.
a glare. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna try and. That's my catio. We made that in quarantine as well. But this is the mermaid.
Okay.
Yeah. And my walls are pretty well covered right now. There's lots of like splashes of paint and stuff. So every time I do that, I just try and put a new painting up. Like this isn't mine. My friend Olivia made this. She's great. Olivia Brumbill, something like that. You know her. And that's the ink stain underneath from when I was tattooing in orange. But yeah, my walls are pretty well covered right now.
Oh, Chrrie. And is that your wood? Because you were wood burning as well.
Yeah, I haven't been doing it as much because I just started painting and kind of got lost in it. But I still do love to do it. And I want to get a better wood burner so I can try out more daring stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Piece you spoke to about like making it your job to create as a way of coping in the beginning, and use up the time because you had it, and then just sort of moving forward, like, what if this was my job? What if I had all this time to create? I think a lot of us tried to approach quarantine that way in the beginning, I think, too. But
Yeah.
it's interesting that it led to burnout, because I've heard that from other people as well. That sense of, um, I don't know, do you think it's about the forcing ourselves to produce, that expectation of I have this time, so I've got to use it?
Maybe. Because at first I was just like so happy to have the time and to like not have to worry about fitting being creative into my schedule and just have being creative lead the schedule. So like I really enjoyed that at first, and then I just started, as I saw I was like growing, I was like, oh, I gotta keep going, and then I'll just keep getting better and better. And then it ended up not getting better because I was trying to force myself, and that's where I started to go downhill. So it's a weird thing to try and balance. But yeah, I know I'm not the only person to do that. I think a lot of people have done that in quarantine, because I saw at the very beginning so many of my artistic friends just going absolutely crazy, making all these pieces, and then all of a sudden they were like, help, it's a pandemic and I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah.
And I wonder, I don't know, I think about that a lot, because right off the bat, that was my first impulse, was that as well. It's like, well, I think it tied into this idea of how can I make this time valuable? I needed to, like, almost like I needed to prove to someone that just being me and doing what I do is valuable. Like, if I didn't come to this experience with proof of my worthiness, like, here the novel that I wrote, or the screenplay that I developed, or like, I don't know. I wonder if it's tied into that as well a little bit.
It's a weird thing, because I feel like we're all programmed to be like, I need to be a member of society. I need to contribute. I need to be doing something for the betterment of society before the betterment of myself. And so we all just got like messed up in that. That was my demonstration of being messed up in that.
I think, yeah, Brandon, I can relate to that. He's saying that.
Yeah.
I think all of us, we felt like we had to cram as much in as possible. And then the sense, too, of not knowing when, that unanswerable question that we're still dealing with, like, when might things return to what they were? Will things return to what they were? Which being turned on and off, and suddenly we'll be expected to. And I don't think I can go back. I think something has changed. I think.
Definitely. It's too big of a global change for us to go back to the same way we were thinking before. And hopefully that's for the better, because I've seen a lot of activism just taking over, which is amazing. But I think people are finally just like done with the flow that we had and are trying to move on, and I'm excited. I didn't want to keep thinking that way. I'm excited for whatever change is coming.
So that is a huge part of you as well, that sense of activism and making space for the new, like creating platforms for the unheard. How have you been coping or working with that during this time?
I mean, I've been trying to keep up to date with everything that's happening with Black Lives Matter, because I know that's been super prominent. And even though it's been dying down on social media, I can say firsthand that there's still been a lot of protests, and I've been trying to keep involved in those. And then climate change, it's obviously very prominent right now too, especially with seeing a huge pandemic hit. There's more to follow, and I think people are starting to understand that the changes are long-lasting and very permanent. So it's really, a lot of my activism has been observing everyone else like step up and to the same page and like understand that change needs to happen. So I'm not like sitting back and watching people get up to date, but like it's interesting to watch everyone else start to think like, oh, we need to make changes. Does that make sense?
It does. Well, because I think, well, I'm going to be a little bit ageist here maybe, because like as an old person, I think for us watching these things occur, for a lot of us sitting at home, we had time to focus on things that we maybe hadn't had time to focus on before. But all the younger people in my life, and I consider you a younger person in my life. That's really, but that's not, it's more of a fact. It's not, you are young.
No, that's factual. That's fine.
Uncomfortable old person. But I think you've been involved in these conversations for a much longer time. It was much more relevant and immediate to you and to your colleagues, your peers. You were not setting time aside to work on it when you got to a certain point in your life. You were saying, no, this is a part of our lives. We're going to address these issues, talk about these issues. We're going to make space for all of these things right now. So I can see how that might be really interesting, watching people like me begin to catch up in a different way. Or
begin to catch up. I thought you've been pretty up to date. I think you're doing great, Mary.
I wasn't going for that, but I will put it in my pocket and take it with me. Thank you. Thank you.
No, it was funny when you called me this morning to check in. I was half asleep, but I was watching AOC debates.
Ooh.
I was like half asleep in bed. I was just watching her rant on and on about climate change, and it was just like, that's really funny. Yeah, I've been fully immersed in just like the political realm right now because it's bonkers.
Well, we now that we can make change on a global scale if we need to, that people can make decisions more or less together and immediately to take care of things if they want to. So we'll see what happens, right?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and we'll not keep moving towards it. I don't know. Are you used to having uncomfortable conversations with people that you love, people around you?
Yeah, I mean, my family's pretty on the ball about these things. Sometimes I just have to correct them or give them a fact or whatever, but I don't ever have to really fight with my immediate family. So most of the time it's just random people on the street that just say something off to me and I have to correct them. Yeah, it hasn't been super immediate for me, but I try to keep things up to date on my Instagram and all of that as well, and just like spread important information where I can. But no, I haven't really had to fight anyone on it. One day. It'll happen.
That's one of my favorite things, actually. It's one of those odd things that I feel sometimes very comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. I don't know if that's a thing. If that's something you have to develop, a skill set, or if it's something that, I don't know. Maybe it's also a part of different age demographics as well. I think, so like my generation, we considered, well, I don't know, I'm going to generalize horribly now, so I'm not going to speak for my generation because I'm not even sure what that means. But I know that there's a certain, we don't want to upset anyone. We worry about making people feel uncomfortable, or we worry about ourselves not being likable if we share certain things in certain ways. And again, that's a huge generalization, but I think that was really built into us for a long time. So I think it's something that's interesting to learn from observing folks like you who are out there living what they want, living what they need to live, and expecting nothing less. And for folks like me who maybe grew up putting everyone else before themselves, who grew up trying to figure out how we could maintain the status quo while still trying to be unique or being our true selves. It's a really interesting conversation for folks to have.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm on the cusp of Gen Z, and I think they're pretty much overzealous to start the conversations, but we don't have the same kind of trained skills as you old folk, as you put it. So yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of my friends just get in arguments with people on the streets. I'm like, this is very different. It's very different, and it's interesting. So I mean, I don't think you're being ageist by saying that there's different points of view from different generations. And yeah, Gen Z's pretty much ready for a major global scale kind of change. And it's kind of fun to be a part of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've been talking about global things as well. And recently, you took your adventuring to another level where you began traveling.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh, it's almost been a year. That's insane. And I went to Belgium last September, October, and I started a tattoo apprenticeship, which was really super exciting. But yeah, that was my first time traveling outside of the country, my first time on a plane, It was a pretty big leap, and it was very, very fun. And I'm itching to go back now, but the pandemic says no. So,
But can you tell us, maybe we can do a little armchair traveling right now. What led to this whole, I'm going to go to Belgium, I'm going to get an apprenticeship at a tattoo parlor in Belgium. And not just any old ordinary tattoo parlor. This sounds like an amazing place. Can you tell us a little bit about?
yeah. Well, so it started off, I looked for a place in Toronto for a while because there's lots of awesome shops there. And I went into a bunch, like handed in my resume, showed my portfolio, all that stuff. Mind you, I think I was 17 when I started.
Mm-hmm.
17, 18, I don't know, but freshly, like one tattoo deep. And now I have like 16, but that's not the point. And I couldn't find anything. No one was responding to me. And I found this one place, got in touch with them on through email, and they invited me to come talk. And the owner ended up being absolutely horrible to me. And he told me that he said my art was not any good. I shouldn't bother coming back. Just beyond the point of constructive criticism, just to being a meanie head. And and I was like, okay. I was upset, but I couldn't be too upset because it sounded like he had his own issues.
Sure.
And said, screw it, and just decided I'll look wherever I want. So I started looking for a vegan studio because I saw there were a couple places in Toronto that specified that they had like a vegan setup, vegan inks, all that stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I started looking into it and seeing like what actually makes a tattoo studio vegan. And so I was just like, I'm looking wherever. We're going worldwide. And I found the studio in Belgium, Cindy Chrrie Tattoo Studio. And it's primarily run by women. It's owned by an amazing woman named Cindy. And I sent them an email. It's like, hey, this is kind of out there. I don't know if you do this kind of thing. And I gave them the whole spiel. And Cindy messaged me back. She's like, okay. She was fine with it. She's like, come check out the shop and we'll see what happens. So I just went for a month and a half and just to dip my toes in the water, and they could get a feel for me and I could get a feel for if I liked it or not. And we weren't even planning for me to do any tattooing. I was just there to observe and like learn secondhand. And 2 weeks in, they were like, you want to tattoo yourself? And I said, sure. And then I ended up with, hold on, let me see. I don't know. Oh, wait,
Okay.
it's a phone. I can move it. I ended up with, I don't know if you can see him.
Yes.
This boy right here. It's a Picasso Cat. It's from one of Picasso's paintings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's supposed to look goofy like that. That was the intention. So yeah, I started that tattoo, and then like 2 days later, I did another one on a fellow apprentice, and then it just kept spiraling, and I kept going, and I ended up doing about 4 tattoos in the month and a half that I was there. But I got 6. That was fun too. They're like, you want to learn by getting stabbed? And I was like, yeah, okay. So I just ended up getting more. That was a great experience, and I love the shop, and they just switched over. They're doing a bunch of like eco-friendly stuff too. So everything's single use, right? So they just switched to biodegradable bags and all that as well. So it's a pretty great space, and I'm itching to go back.
Yeah. So what was it like to finally find a group of people who, instead of, because and there were other conversations too. I remember in the beginning when you were looking for places to just, if there's other folks out there who've experienced similar things, let us know. That interesting piece about wanting to apprentice, wanting to observe and learn, because that world, in the tattoo world, that is one of the main ways that you do it. Yes. Like I think there's a school you can go to, I think, but no.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend going to a school. For most people, it's a cash grab, and they don't teach you anything. They show you how to put ink in skin, but they don't teach you how to do it properly. That's what I gathered from my time at the studio, they were very against going to these tattoo schools. And I know a lot of places they won't let you apprentice if you've gone to a tattoo school. They'll
Really?
like straight up, yeah, because and I've seen pictures too. There's lots of places and they'll just have like hundreds of students and they set you up with a rotary machine. They make it a lot easier than your traditional coils. They're just like an electric pen kind of thing. So you don't learn how to properly put the ink in the skin or like the depth or any of that. So it's just like teach you the bare minimum so you think you know what you're doing, and you spend like $2,000 and then you're out in 2 weeks. So yeah, I've seen a couple shops where they will have, if they're looking for an apprentice, we don't accept applications from people who have gone to schools.
So that's fascinating. And again, I know nothing about this world. I would love to one day have a tattoo, but I think I will complete my being able to decide what exactly I'd want. But we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe one
You
day
should get Alice. You should get Alice's face on you.
a paw print. No, everyone gets it. Never mind. That's my stuff. Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out, folks. It's okay.
Well, you know where to find me.
I do. Well, remember how many people said no to you right off the bat, and it wasn't necessarily, even as you said, it was a big mean kind of no. It wasn't try this or work on this and then come back or check in with us in this time period. It just was so astonishing how many walls were thrown up for you. And I'm wondering.
Oh, hey, Vic. That's my friend's girlfriend. Hi, Vic.
What do you think the difference was with this amazing place in Belgium? Why were the walls thrown up here and not there?
I don't know. It was kind of like a gatekeeping kind of thing, I think. There were lots of traditional artists that didn't really like my approach to it, I guess. And again, my portfolio was not nearly as grown, so I was just looking for someone to take a chance. And yeah, people just weren't very responsive to it. And most of them they would take a glance at my portfolio and they just wouldn't say anything back. I had that one experience where they were like, no, your stuff's trash. And then I was like, well, screw you. I'm doing what I want. But I find that everyone in Belgium is so freaking nice. Like, the stereotype is that Canadians are nice. Belgians are so freaking nice. It's insane. Like, my mentor, she gave me a custom machine that was made for her. It was like 500 euros. She just gave it to me because I liked it. I asked her where she got it from, and she's like, you can have it. So freaking sweet.
Oh, I would suggest, gently, that there was something you were doing to contribute to that. So I think perhaps it was a bit of both, the relationship, what you were...
Yeah. Well, I first got there, I went like a day after I'd landed, and I was like, messed up. Time zones, crazy. What's it called when you get on an airplane and then you're all messed up? What is it? What's it called? I don't know. I don't know, but I was like kind of loopy, and I showed up at the door of the tattoo studio, and she invited me in, and she fed me, and then by the end of the night, she took me grocery shopping to the closest market and showed me all the vegan stuff. Because I couldn't read any Dutch at the time. So she was just walking me around, like showing me the symbols and like giving me her recommendations within the first day of knowing me. So yeah, they're really sweet. And I guess that's just her personality. She's just like, oh, this Canadian kid wants to come tattoo? Why not? So I got pretty lucky there.
And finding that just speaks to what it can feel like to find your people, to find someone, like a group of people that something resonates, It must have, how did it feel to be there and work with them?
It was great. And it felt extra good after, it was the first place that I looked after I took a couple months off from looking when I had the incident. And it just ended up working out for me. So I just took it as a sign, like it was supposed to happen. And it was really nice being in a space where they were open to me, just sitting around and learning and like doing my own thing. They weren't trying to tell me what to make, like what style I had to do. Yeah, it was really nice. A very supportive environment. And I think part of the reason would be there's not a lot of spaces that are like all female tattooers. There's one guy that works there, and he's super sweet. He's like a super nerd about it all too, which is really fun. But yeah, a lot of the places that I've been to, they're primarily male. So it's a very interesting and different dynamic, and it felt a lot safer that way.
Oh, I love that. I hope one day I get to meet them because they sound like extraordinary human beings.
Come visit. I'll give you a tattoo. I'll show you the potato vending machines. It'll be great.
Oh, okay. Potato vending machines?
Well, okay, they have bread vending machines on like every street corner. They're really popular, and it's like fresh bread. Like you get it and it's still warm. But some farmers have potato vending machines on their land. I walked a mile just to get a potato out of a vending machine and then walked home because I wanted to see the vending machine and I didn't have a bike yet. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's pretty cool. They have lots of vending machines. It's amazing.
So, and this wonderful travel experience happened for you, and then it sounds like you were planning to go right back as soon as you could.
Yeah, so I came home for the holidays and to work a little bit longer, and so I could save up and move. And my plan was to be back by like May or June. And now it's September, and I'm stuck here. But as soon as it's safe to do so, I'm gonna fly out and start my new life there. And it'll be great. I'm just anxiously waiting for the okay. Yeah, I feel like everyone had some sort of plans ready, and they were like, yes, 2020, this is my goal. And then the pandemic happened, and we're all like, okay, I guess I'm going nowhere and doing nothing. So it's, I'm definitely not the only one. So I can't be that upset because we're all in the same boat on that. But it still sucks.
Yeah, and maybe going nowhere, we're not traveling, but we are doing things. I mean, and you have, how many new tattoos have you given yourself since?
I haven't given myself any. No, I haven't, which is just, it'll happen eventually. I've gotten two. I didn't give them to myself. But I have tattooed both of my parents. I gave my dad his first tattoo. It was really funny. My cats decided that would be a perfect time to come down and bother us. My one cat likes to rub up against me when I'm drawing. So she came up and bumped the tattoo pen, and I gave my dad a little poke. So he now has a little spot that my cat did. Yeah, it was really nice giving him his first tattoo. I think he really likes it, and I got practice, and they're not going to sue me if they turn out bad, so it's great.
Okay, so maybe not as much tattooing as I'd imagined, but you have been exploring. So, okay, well, can we talk about self as canvas and what that means, all the many different things that might mean?
Sure. What are you thinking? Self as canvas, it sounds like you have this whole little term you've made up.
I don't know. But I don't know. Like there's everything from the tiniest thing, like I started painting my nails. I've never done stuff like that before in my life.
Crazy.
Here's the thing. It actually gave me such a strange boost, and and it's not for prettiness because I'm not a pretty kind of person, but this sense of I don't know, adding color, giving myself something new to look at, being able to look at my body in a new way, in a different way, in a strange way. I was writing a lot of grants, so having my nails, like having gray nails, somehow it made me feel more alert. It's very strange, but just that end of the spectrum where it's something so tiny to experimenting with, like tattoos, that's like self as canvas that way, but also exploring with, how we're dressing, what we're doing with our hair, with makeup, exploring aspects of self through those kind of forays. And I've noticed on your Instagram that you have been exploring those kind of things and playing with image and things like that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have been doing that too, especially when everyone was just done with work. They were just looking for new things to do, and you spend so much time with yourself when you're not out and about that you just start to think like, okay, what am I going to change about myself to make me more interesting to me?
Yeah.
Really weird. But I mean, I ended up with a mullet that's red underneath. So I have been definitely, yeah, thank you. I've been going a little crazy with that stuff too. Yeah, I cut it and then, or actually I didn't cut it. My friend cut it on her kitchen floor with some cow print kitchen scissors, and I think she did a great job. And then I went to visit another friend, and she was in the bathtub dyeing her hair. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm dyeing mine as well. And then the other day, my friend pierced my ear. So I definitely have been joining the self as canvas situation. Maybe not so much with tattoos on myself, but it's refreshing to do different things, and I feel a lot better this way too. I feel like I'm expressing myself more how I would like to express myself.
Yeah.
So,
learned anything, and like, is there anything through what you've learned that you'd use to, I don't know, to connect with other people, to say try this or explore this, or giving advice about that kind of stuff?
me giving advice?
Yeah.
About what?
Well, anything. First of all, your advice, you're awesome. Opinions are my own. I'm allowed to. But just that sense of using yourself as a canvas, exploring different aspects creatively. Yeah, what would you recommend? Like, what are you? Well, okay, rewind, Mary. What have you, if anything, have you learned?
What have I learned? Well, nothing's permanent, and you can make your own decisions for your own appearance. And I think it's important, like, especially making all of this art to put on my walls, I might as well put more of that attention into myself. And I didn't really do like makeup at all before this. Oh, someone said my hair looks great. Thank you. But I just decided, why not goof around and see what happens. I always thought it was a very like feminine thing, and I didn't want to add that onto my appearance. But I started to think, okay, no, I can just make my eyebrows orange and no one can tell me otherwise. So I started doing that. And it makes you feel more confident to be yourself as a canvas as well and make some kind of art out of it. And I also started, I did drag a couple times beforehand, but I started to do it more in quarantine, and no way a professional. Gluing down your eyebrows is very hard, but it's an exaggerated expression of what all of this is right now, and I can go ham just for the fun of it and then take it off as soon as I'm done, So it's a whole different way of seeing yourself as a canvas. It's like making a whole piece of art out of yourself. It's really cool. I've been working on that a lot more too.
Do you think that's been impacted or informed by quarantine? Because I mean, you mentioned having time to consider these things where maybe we didn't before, and that recognition of impermanence too. That sense, like perhaps before we were just moving so quickly, one foot in front of the other, not having time to reflect on things, just doing what we'd always done, and that interruption, that rupture, perhaps giving us that space to examine what time is, and that sense of impermanence, that
a construct, a crazy construct.
Yeah, I've just been thinking about that a lot lately, especially in the life of being an artist, because once upon a time, I think if someone had their artist self or called themselves an artist, creativity and creation and productivity meant something so completely different than what it means in our age, where things happen so quickly and the expectations are that will be available all the time. And, there's an expectation of consistency as well with who we are, how we are, and what we do. Which I think, I don't know, sometimes I wonder if that robs a little bit, it steals a little bit away from being an artist and from just that creative spontaneity,
Yeah, and not to go completely off the rails right now, but time is crazy.
Yeah.
And it is a construct, the way we view it all, like our perception of what a workday is and everything. It doesn't really like just working for 8 hours sleeping for 8 hours, doing everything on this schedule. Your body has its own clock. Like, you wake up naturally if you don't have an alarm, right? So your body knows the time that you need for each thing. And then having no schedule and being able to follow that, I found was a lot better for my creativity, because like doing things on my own terms. So yeah, it really puts into perspective how much our time and the constructs that we've created around it like affects your productivity. And I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
I
Yeah.
love you. Sounds good. So is there an ideal for you? Have you learned about what helps, what kind of construct works best for you?
You cut out, I'm sorry.
Have you learned what type of construct, time-wise, structure-wise, works for you during this time?
Oh, I'm a mess. I don't like schedules. I like to just do things when I feel like doing them, which is kind of a nuisance for everyone else. And it's a nuisance for me when I have to go to work and they expect me to be there at a certain time. Crazy. No, I run off of the instinct there. So it's hard to balance that and then also have a life that demands some kind of schedule. So I don't know, if I, like what you were saying before, if I did art all the time, if that was my full-time job, how different would my life be? Like, how would I function then? How would my creative flow be affected? The pandemic's definitely made me think about that a lot more.
Have you come closer to identifying what might be the best thing? Like, have you let yourself imagine what might work for you?
Yeah, I think it's all just little outbursts of energy. So sometimes I want to make stuff at 3 a.m. If I had the time, then I would do that and I would just work throughout the night. Sometimes I have a burst of energy at 10 a.m. and I make a cup of tea and I go outside and I start sketching. So it's hard to give my own advice there because I'm very sporadic. But that works for me. So
well, that's it. Maybe that's part of it. I think watching documentaries about great artists of the past and of our time, blah, 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 blah. I mean, to a certain extent, they were allowed to be great because the world allowed them to do what they needed to do and was supportive of that. Being able to stake that claim for ourselves, to be able to say, this is what I need. That's a really fascinating thing. How do we do that for ourselves?
it's really bold. I don't think a lot of people are daring enough to do that. I know I'm not yet. I'm building up to it. Just run away to Belgium and start there. But yeah, it's kind of hard to demand the time that you need for yourself and like separate yourself from those societal expectations. And I feel like that's what a lot of people struggle with and are starting to like realize that, hey, maybe I could do this now. Yeah.
A moment of stillness as we contemplate time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's too much for my little ape brain right now. Cannot compute.
Your brain is fine. Your brain is great. Yeah. I think perhaps there's lovely, like, when you think about going to Belgium again, would you stay there? Is that it for you? Like, that's where you want to be? That's where you're going to be forever, do you think?
No, well, my family's here and I know they're not going to move with me as hard as I try. But I've based it off of my visa, which is going to be about a year. So I'll stay for a year. That's as far as I've looked ahead. And if they let me extend my visa, I'll stay and finish out my apprenticeship and maybe work there for a bit. But I think what I'd want to do is travel and tattoo. I know there's a lot of artists that don't have like a home studio and they just travel the world and they do guest spots at different places. And I think that's something that I would like to do. I think I would settle back in Canada close to my family eventually. But for now, I just want to travel and explore and do different things. And yeah.
So
as much as I love the tattoo studio.
It sounds like an amazing place. And people can follow them. Maybe we'll share the link for the parlor after this is done. We'll let people know that they can find them. because they
Yeah.
are quite lovely. Yeah.
If any of you are running around Kortrijk, Belgium, check them out.
So in between now and then, when you can finally travel again and get back to your apprenticeship, what do you hope for yourselves? What is your wish for yourself in this time?
I think I'm just trying to figure out how to keep that energy that I had in the very beginning of quarantine and maintain that while also working and just trying to find the balance there. Like I just keep going through the days when I've got a creative outburst. I think, okay, so why is this working for me now? How can I replicate this later? How can I make this work with me also getting money so that I can move to Belgium? So yeah, I'm just trying to find the balance in between that right now. And I think I'm just working on that kind of growth. That's what's best for me right now.
Yeah. What
It's
would you
hard to
recommend?
tell.
Well, and that's okay too. I think leaving space to make discoveries and grow, be kind to yourself. I mean, that kind of productivity at the beginning that, you were talking about, that Brandon was, mentioning too, that fierce push that so many of us had to keep on going and use the time wisely. It isn't necessarily sustainable, but um, perhaps that's okay too, having those dips in the moments where you can refuel and take a break and settle a little bit so other moments of creativity can burst forward. I think
Yeah.
that's too.
It's hard to stay forever sustainable. You can't just be go, go, go all the time. So it's, yeah, apparently we're human beings and there's ups and downs to life.
I've heard that.
That's crazy. I don't get it.
I don't either. What do we do? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Chrrie, it's been amazing talking with you today and seeing your face.
I miss your lovely face. It's been so long.
I know, I need a haircut too. I got to talk to your friend and see what
I'll let her know.
In the meantime, do you have anything else you'd like to say to the community? Anything, last words of Chrrie-esque wisdom?
Oh my gosh. I should have wrote a script. Oh, I don't know. Oh, hi, Catherine. Thank you. No, be nice, make art, and do things for yourself from time to time. That's my piece of wisdom.
I love it. That sounds perfect. Oh, Chrrie, until we see one another again. Mwah.
See you on the flippity flip.
Thank you.
Bye. Stay safe.
You too, and give my love to everybody, okay?
Of course.
And yourself.
Bye.
Bye. That was lovely. Thank you so much, Chrrie, for joining us, and thanks so much to everyone who watched and listened and enjoyed. We'll be keeping in touch with Chrrie and seeing where they're at and where they're going in the future. And again, for everyone who's been coming back and visiting and chatting and listening, thank you so much for being here. Your support has been really important during this time as well for the Living Room. And if you have folks that you'd like us to chat with or recommendations of people that we should connect with through this on our Tuesday Artist Chats on Instagram, let us know. We're still talking. We have a great lineup of people coming up in the next few weeks, but we're always excited to meet new people and connect with old friends as well. So if you're interested, please let me know. And again, just so much loveliness out there. Thank you. And as Chrrie said, what was it? Be nice, keep creating, and take care of yourself. I think those are three beautiful things that all of us can do no matter where we're at right now in these strange and interesting times. So yeah, that would make a nice tattoo actually. Got to think about that. So thank you so much for joining, and I'll be back on Facebook tomorrow for a live stream pop-up art studio. So just tune in there from 2 p.m. to 3:30, and we'll make art and hang out and have more conversation just like this. But in the meantime, until we can connect and create with one another again in person, I look forward to connecting and creating with you all online. So take care, be nice, keep creating, and take care of yourself. And thank you, Chrrie, for a great conversation. Bye, everyone.